Welcome back to Planet 13. This is Cultivated Live. I am Jay. You are Krista. This is day 3 that we've been here. I'm just kidding. This is day 3 we've been here at Planet 13, the world's largest dispensary. So we're calling it. They call it that. What you can't see from this camera that I'm looking at is that behind you is a gummy manufacturing kitchen that you can see into. They bottle their cannabis beverages there. We've had a great time looking in while we're talking to our guest. We have a great guest up next, Graydon Welbourn. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
You are from the White Ash Group?
Yes.
Give us the 1-minute elevator pitch on White Ash Group, then we'll dive in.
White Ash Group is a recruitment, staffing, and executive search firm that focuses specifically and solely on the cannabis industry. And what that means is we do hiring for cannabis companies, whether that's seed to sale, roots to suits, which is just a fancy way of saying anyone touching the plant all the way up to a C-suite executive.
You want to know a fun fact?
Always.
Planet 13.
No.
Yeah, you're going to get it anyways. Planet 13 said they had 580 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
In Nevada. Well, not even just in other places too, but 580 is a big company.
Yeah.
Well, it's the world's biggest dispensary,
I know.
so.
As if I teed that up perfectly. But actually, that's an interesting question. Like, you've seen companies go from startup to grown up.
Yes.
Like, what... That's hard to do. That's some of the biggest pain points in any industry.
Scaling is really, really hard. Yeah. I think in the cannabis industry, we've seen a couple different scenarios where companies scale too fast and it ends up kicking them in the butt. And then there's massive layoffs. And then there's bad press and bad public opinion. And then we've seen companies that are, I think you said in the previous chat, not trying to necessarily be first to market and trying to grow at the right scale.
Yeah.
And hiring really out of necessity when they actually strategically need to, not because they want to throw money and people at a problem. Right. They want to find the right person to find solutions for the problem.
Yeah.
Is there a threshold of like number of team members that you usually see where complexity gets built in? Where my question is coming from is when I think about retail environments, you kind of get from 1 to 3 stores, you're okay.
Yeah.
3 to 5 feels quite different. 5 to 10 feels really different, and then 10 or more, you're into a bit of a different ball game, just from a scaling perspective.
That's a good question. I think that one thing I do know is that if you're around 15 people, you need to start considering HR, because if you get beyond that, it's sort of like things get out of hand a little bit, and HR is not a thing that people necessarily, when they're building a company, think, oh, I should get that, because it's effectively a cost center, but it's not. It's a cost saver. It saves you in the long term. But another way to answer your question, it would be, I think that things are a lot different when it's a small, like some of the LPs that we work with in Canada, it's like, there's 40 people there. And it's a very different relationship that we have with them and different type of complexities that they deal with hiring than the companies where it's like 200 people. Right. The speed and when you're a company of 40 people, the 41st person is still pretty important.
Right.
But when you're a company of 300 people, it's like, depending on the position, they're like, okay, well,
the perception of importance within the internal team that's
exactly.
there.
Like, I find the smaller companies that we work with are so... Actually, I'll backtrack. I find that a lot of the companies that are really successful that we work with really care about culture, so they are a little bit more specific with who they hire, not necessarily in terms of like skills and experience, but are they going to be part of our family for the long run? Because we don't want people coming in and out of our family because it's disruptive.
Right.
Is there a trend that you've seen in terms of hiring or skill set that you, over the maybe last 2 years, that wasn't there 2 years ago and now people ask for it? I see it with hiring of retail managers as well as district managers. All of a sudden there is a lot of focus on having extensive retail experience and less of a prioritization on cannabis experience necessarily, depending on which area you're in. But have you seen like a trend like that?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a consistent trend of companies wanting people with cannabis experience, but I think, at least I'm trying to push this is, being open to bringing people from outside of the industry and bringing them in. Because, if someone's coming in now, chances are they really want to be here because we're not in a great state currently collectively. So if you want to come in now and you're not currently in the industry, that has to mean that you are probably sacrificing a bit of money and a lot of stability. And that means that you're probably serious that you want to be here, because the people that came in initially that just thought this was going to be fun and games and we're all going to get rich really quick, they're all gone. So the people that are coming in now, I think, they really, really want to like actually be here and try it out and be a part of something that's new and grow. But I would say in terms of other trends, it's still, cannabis experience. It's still regulated environments. That's what our clients are caring the most about. Despite someone, being a, working at a tech company or maybe they were someone working in Best Buy. It's like the chances of them working for an LP or a grower is kind of low. It's more like you'd have to match up where you were, like Best Buy, go to retail, but it's still, they want regulated industries.
Yeah.
I
believe it.
Yeah.
Because it really is, even as we were sitting with operators who are about to open, like in New Jersey and other places, it's like there's so much emphasis put on getting to day one.
Yeah.
And then like getting from day 1 to day 100 takes a different set of skills, and so much money, energy is like, how are we going to sell it? But the compliance part is like, that's what drives cultivators, that's what drives manufacturers and processors. And no matter what you're manufacturing, processing, or even retail, like the compliance is so heavy in cannabis, and it's a mindset as much as a skill set.
Yeah. And I think because we're all trying to go as fast as we can here, I think there's a lot of, people that are like, well, yeah, that person's great, but I can't hire them because then I'd have to spend 3 weeks teaching them something. And that's kind of where we're at, which is a little bit unfortunate. But, companies want to bring people on, but they're like, it's going to take me away from these 900 things I have to do if I have to like teach them how a regulatory framework works, if they aren't coming from a world where that is a thing.
Yeah.
It makes me kind of frustrated when we see something like that.
Yeah,
I completely understand when you're like head down, really busy, there's a lot going on. But the cost associated with not bringing in the right person is so high.
So high.
Like if you go down a path and they're not the right person, and 6 months later, now you're rehiring.
Yeah, you're losing like hundreds of thousands of dollars if you add up the time, the training, the time it took to find them. That's our whole thing is that, if your hiring process is messed up and takes a long time and gets drawn out and the can gets kicked down the road because you get distracted by other shiny objects, you're losing so much money by just spinning your tires and not being focused and not being strategic enough. Like, your hiring shouldn't take you 4 months, and if it does, that person's probably not going to go with you anyways because someone else is going to pick them up. They don't like to be
strong along for 4 months either.
Yeah.
Hiring is like sales. Like you have to create momentum.
Yes.
Yeah. And when there is momentum, then you can ride the momentum. But when you get that off track, like you reduce the interest from the potential candidate as a business, like you lose a footing in terms of how engaged that person might be. And you set the tone from the moment
for the rest of the relationship. Yeah. You're dating at the start, really. Yeah.
And I think we miss that it's a two-way street sometimes.
Yeah. It's a conversation. I always try to remind our clients and the candidates we work with that it's a two-way street. You want to make sure it's a win-win. You want to, develop the relationship how you wish, start as you wish to proceed,
right.
Like if, put the flag in the ground and this is how it's going to be. And, you can tell the difference. Like when we have candidates interview with, companies that we work with that are very organized and, really personable and understanding, and they sort of get the candidate experience, the candidate is way more likely to take the job, even if it's maybe less money than someone else is kind of like tossing them around and, giving them feedback after 2 weeks after they interviewed. It's like that you're losing the je ne sais quoi, the fun of the whole pursuit of getting a new job.
Yeah. Looking ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be great if like everybody just started hiring everybody and it was like we were in the spot, like, but are you expecting in 2024 that companies will come to you and say, look, we're looking for this very specific role. We know we need to add headcount. This is the type of person. And like, are you expecting that? Like, it's not going to be a bonanza.
Yeah.
But those ones that are looking are going to be more serious companies like that know exactly what they want.
I think so. I mean, I hope so.
Right. That makes it easier for
yeah,
you.
that'd be good for us. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's not going to be massive. I don't think there's going to be sort of that massive hire again until there's more consolidation and more market maturity. When, like in Canada, I sort of envision that there's going to be a place where things are more stable and everyone's more profitable, and then therefore everyone is going to be able to hire more consistently and be able to take more chances on who they hire, which will be exciting. But I think the next year, I think that it's going to be probably feel similar to this year, which is everyone is being very specific and slightly hesitant and slightly trigger shy.
Yeah.
And because it feels like everyone, anything could tip the scale and they don't want to hire the wrong person. So that is part of the reason they bring us on, because it's just another layer of qualification.
And you can help create momentum.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
that's
you
what we
can
do.
keep the momentum going, even if somebody is kind of bogged down with other things, as long as everybody's on the same page.
That's the whole thing, is we take care of everything. Of course, they need to be involved, but we sort of shepherd the process along the way, because it's a weird processing things, because it's convoluted and it's, the hiring manager's going on vacation. Well, okay. Well, now that it sort of like changes our momentum, so it's like, how do we coax things along in a natural and not
real
forced
matchmaker.
way? Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Great. I appreciate you taking time this early in the morning and the third day of MJ Biz.
Thank you.
And we're in Las Vegas. Like all those things added more complexity to getting here early, but you were here and I appreciate it.
Happy
and thank
to
you
be
for
here.
sharing your thoughts. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This has been
everybody
great.
should follow Graydon on LinkedIn, because he's been posting fire. Like really good thoughts about where the industry is, where hiring is, sort of mindset, all of those things. So thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Jay. Thanks,
got
Krista.
He's Graydon Welbourn. We are coming back with Vince Ning from Cannabis. We'll be right back from Planet 13 in Las Vegas. This is Cultivated Live. We'll be right back.